Hello and welcome to my channel. Wanted to do this video just to document an event on ISWA. It's pretty neat. What we have going on is, for the first time that I have seen, looking through a lot of the archive footage and myself watching, what we have here is 0 polar cap lines right here on the key. Polar cap black. And you look right here, you can see a couple of them down here. This is a view from the side, equatorial view. We only have a few right there. Earth is pushing sustained so much, plus with other events, and I'll show you what's going on and why the closed field lines are kind of sitting right there. If you've read these for a while, you may already know. Well, there's a couple things going on here. Well, here, this is our blue IMF signature that's been here for years. It's a planet that's been sitting back here. And it's IMF, meaning it's not connected to Earth. As you can see, there's black is polar cap, and it means no connection. Well, IMF means no connection to Earth whatsoever. All right, so that coupled with what we have going on here is there's a larger magnetic field than our blue magnetic signature here. It's a much larger field, and this is inside it as well. Now, it doesn't look like Earth is inside it. It looks like it's kind of this planet back here is kind of sandwiched in the middle with another one here. And why? And there is the main thing that's going on here. If you'll notice right there, here we'll just call that negative 35, and I will show you right there again, right in the center. And there is even a second one here. There's several things, several magnetic bodies here and other fields. And right here, see that closed field line is encapsulating it. Everything forms around that area right there. I mean, the main thing is the no polar cap lines. That's a big thing to me. That's a first. But we've had a year of first, just with this tool alone. And there are new ones faster and faster now as this slow train wreck increases speed, which we've talked about for a long time now. But this is a first. This is a good amount of time here. We're looking at 1633 to 1701. A half an hour of no polar cap lines. There is something major really going on here. Earth is just double inducing, heavy, and pushing. And because of this other magnetic field that's around us right now, it's all this right here. These are blowing out because of this magnetic signature in here from this planet. But these are forming around that one, so we have two separate IMF signatures here. Blue, which is the one we call here, and this is probably Ra, or the blue Kachina's magnetic signature that we know is behind us, based on finding its magnetic signature on an MRI camera used for looking at auroras in Alaska, where we saw all three of our sun's magnetic signatures until it was shut down. Well, this is the tool we have now to watch those not necessarily signatures, but their magnetic fields. So there's many things going on here. It's just unbelievable. I mean, I could sit here all day just going through this 5-hour clip here of all the different things. I mean, the double induction heating, the closed field lines, no polar cap lines, another magnetic signature or field here with the IMF, blue's IMF here, and you can see I've shown many times this magnetic signature for blue, and This is forming around that energy barrier. Everything, all these magnets, energy flows until it hits a barrier, physical or magnetic, electromagnetic. Wow, I mean, this is just a great show. Now, to go cover the other tools with this, so we don't want to forget those. The magnetics is unbelievable right now. Here we have the solar. Remember, let me just go over this one. Remember, I said it. Okay, we'll call it -30 in this solar wind model, but it's pretty clear. And I know a lot of people can say, "Oh, that looks like the Enterprise." Well, that's great, but I'm right here. This is the circle, lower density spot. Solar wind arrows are all pointing out from it. We even have a little bit of purple, so even lower density. Well, there's only one reason for that. There's something there. Yeah, this is the up-to-date one. I just want to show that frame. You'll see it in this one as well. But this is set up for the same time frame as the other tool. You'll see this definite here at -30, -35 object very clearly on this tool, because it just sits there all day long. All the energy is focused around that one point. Not energy, but activity. It's pretty clear. And now, let me just finish this frame up for you. Still the same location. Now, as you see here, that was some lower density wave that came through. The bow shock expanded. The colors. I've looked at solar wind tool. There's the drop in density. At the same time, the change in magnetics, the change in the heliospheric wave from the sun. It's like the north side of that wave. I'm brain farting on the name, but this is the south side of that wave. So everything is correlating. Now you may say, well, time-wise isn't matching up, but yes it does, because this is coming from Discover, which is Discover satellite out in L1 Lagrange point, which is in between us and the sun, but in the speed that solar wind travels is only 2 hours time from Discover to Earth. So we see something on ISWA, we come and look at SWPC and Discover, and you just look 2 hours beforehand, and there you go, you'll have it. You can look at the information. You can compare the solar wind, the density, temperatures, magnetics, the phi angle. Okay, so that explains this. Not that it isn't knowledgeable or anything that's unexplainable or anything. Let's just finish going through. I mean, like we've always been saying, tornadic activity. This is also a view looking down at the North Pole, where the last one is looking at the equator. This is looking down, just so you know. So it's a different point of view. Here is where, you know, heavy induction heating, which is the cause for all our increased earthquakes, volcanic activity, things associated with that are increased energy, more power for storms, because this induction heating is coming directly from the bow shock. Let me just show you. And what happens when you have energy flowing through matter, like electricity through an overloaded extension cord? What happens? It gets warm, or the more things you plug into it, right? Okay, the warmer that extension cord is going to get, and it's going to expand. Well, that pressure is being released, but you know, the pressure is increasing, so therefore more is being released. You know, you may have seen all the hot spots on the College of DuPage website where you can look at fires or hot spots. All that is increasing even into the New Madrid seismic zone now. So it's only a matter of time before that energy and that heat progresses east in the United States towards, the East Coast. So here's induction heating, and this is double induction heating. If you want to understand that, you can look at your induction heating used for commercial industrial purposes. Induction heating, you'll find induction coils, induction magnets. You'll learn about that. This is the same thing, but Earth is in control, drawing energy directly from the bow shock. This is a magnetic field. There is so much energy here, it is not even funny. We could power everything on the planet now for infinity, as long as the sun existed. Our sun, at least. I mean, we have 3 now, so we are getting pretty high energy here. So when people tell you, oh, the magnetic pause is failing, it's getting weaker, no, they're full of shit. They're just listening to what somebody else is telling them, because they'll say, oh, the field is shrinking. Well, what happens when you have a more powerful magnet compared to a less powerful magnet, and you put them both under a ferrocell? The more powerful magnet will have a smaller electromagnetic field, magnetic field. So there throws that one out the window for you guys on the old, it's failing or getting weaker because of the sun. Well, we have 2 more suns here now, so how can it be getting weaker? Energy is increasing to the Earth, so therefore the field gets stronger. Alright, so that explains all your earthquakes and all that activity of weather and everything people are saying is man and all this other, climate change. No, here, this is it right here. The electric everything I've discussed right here, this is what's going on. You have a capacitor taking on more and more energy and pushing it out the back as closed field lines. Well, constantly turning it on and off, your extension cord, you unplug it, it's going to cool down and shrink again, right? Well, you plug it back in and keep using it, what's it going to do again? Expand, and then after a while it's going to crack and then deteriorate. Well, forget the deteriorate part, but here you go. Here's your extension cord. Everything we're seeing in our planet, earthquakes, volcanoes, more powerful storms, it's all right there. Here is your cause, but that cause is happening because of things like this and things like this. That's why these have turned on and why we see these events. Because we live in a trinary system, and those 2 solar systems that are coming with Ra and Horus, they're planets and moons. Here you go. This has nothing to do with our planets. It's not Mars, it's not Nibiru, it's not Venus, it's not Saturn or Jupiter shifting orbits. They're all still there. They're orbiting as usual. How they're orbiting around us has changed, that's for sure, because the Earth is tilted on its side. But I'm getting off track, but that's okay. It's very exciting. I just want to show you the magnetic pause tool, how you can understand the density. Well, this is just shit, so I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to expand it and keep it at least proportional. Alright, so I was talking about the higher density. Well, right here, this is where the model says the bow shock is, and I did compare it to the Australian model as well today, so those are matching, but you still have the second bow shock out here. And this pressure is, or Cherenkov radiation, is because Earth is doing all this pushing up here. And you'll see it is just streaming on out, on back. But then you also have the higher density coming from the sun, shaping the bow shock forward more or closer to geosync orbit and Earth. Which you'll see, usually the bow shock is out here at around 8 to 10. Well, here we are sitting back at 6 to 7. And you can figure that distance by calculating RE right here, 3,963 times this number. You want to measure out from the Earth, 3,693 times this number. Alright. Density is still pushing pretty hard on the bow shock. That's why it's curved and forming around us. And then Then in 1833, where that wave of low density comes through, it pushes back out some. But we still have the density. It was just a lower density wave. So the density has lessened because it's not so curved and formed around like here, you know, versus here. It's a little farther out and it's not so formed around. Alright, so I showed you here, right here, this is the density coming from Discover. You can see we're at 35 just before and it drops down to 11 or 12. Normally it's below 10, so this is back down to more normal levels where this is more elevated. But usually when you see a drop in density, you see an increase in wind speed. There's many videos you can learn about that with. So it's kind of an unusual event because, like I said, when the density drops, usually your wind speed increases, and it didn't until later on, which this was predicted by the Enlil model that the wind speed would increase because the density dropped. But usually it's not such a, you know, separated event that I'm aware of. We had 2 hours difference, but I guess in the grand scheme that isn't very long at all when we're talking in billions of miles. So I guess it is correct in this case that the wind speed did increase as the density dropped, but it usually to me seems to be a little bit more acute in reaction time, and that's okay. Alright, so folks, if you are familiar with Angry Catfish Briggs, he has a new channel where he does his live streams now.
Heady hitters all around. This is Hit Us.
He is currently live right now.
Colorado Springs,
if you
man.
see
They got fucking cool
this video
shirts
here fairly quickly, at least within the last
it's
4
like Colorado
hours,
made.
he will still probably be live. And that is Catfish's Corner. So there are links on my page and his Angry Catfish's page. So if you're still enjoy his live streams, even though he doesn't do them on his Angry Catfish Briggs anymore, just to separate them out between his live streams and his 15-minute videos, this is where he does it now. Alright, that pretty much covers it. Let's see, 1637. I want to just remind you about right there. Okay, so, and I just want to quickly go over that real quick, how to measure the distance from Earth back to here. So we're going to call that negative 32, and the negative isn't critical, but 3,963, which is 1 RE, Earth radius here to here, times, and times is the star, 32 equals, so the distance to this magnetic body, planet, moon, it's not a stellar core, it's a planet or moon, it's not a sun in this case, it's just not too small. So here you go. It isn't going to get bigger. So you're looking at 126,816 miles from Earth to here. Now let me tell you, the moon orbits at roughly 278,000 miles from Earth, which is here, negative 60. So the Earth, moon is orbiting here. So this object, and they have been, are inside lunar orbit. So keep looking at the sun, guys. You're missing all the good stuff. Because it's all right here within lunar orbit. And that's not a, you know, I'm not trying to goad anybody, but it's just like, oh, let's go look at the sun. Yes, the sun is important, yeah, but we got things right here, right now. Alright. Now it's time for me to go find some moon photos with Tycho crater in the wrong location for the northern hemisphere. Laters.